Hello, I'm Becca.
And I'm Sam.
And welcome to August at Christchurch.
We're here with the under 18s to share with you some great activities and devotions.
This week we are talking about ravens. As you might have heard in the service, ravens are very interesting birds. And we have so many activities to keep you going during this week when looking at this topic.
So, let's see what fun we have in store for you this week. Time for this week's devotion. We are reading today from Luke 12, verses 22 to 25. Then Jesus said to his disciples, "Therefore I tell you, do not worry about your life, what you will eat, or about your body, what you will wear. For life is more than food, and the body more than clothes. Consider the ravens. They do not sow or reap, they have no storeroom or barn, yet God feeds them. And how much more valuable you are than birds. Who of you by worrying can add a single hour to your life? Since you cannot do this very little thing, why do you worry about the rest?" So today we're talking about things that we might worry about. Are you a bit of a worrier? There are all sorts of things that we might be worried about. Maybe exam results, or going back to school, an argument with friends, someone you know who's not very well, trying something new for the first time. That can be really worrying too. We are going to play a game that you may or may not have played before. It's called Marco Polo. So, one person needs to wear a blindfold, and the other people playing can move about in a set area. So it might be out in the garden, or if you've got a space that you can clear where you're not going to bang into anything inside, then you can do it there. So you have to stay in the one room or the one garden area, and the person with the blindfold says Marco, and the other person has to respond Polo, and the person with the blindfold on has to then find where the other person is. Pause the video and have a go, and then we'll get back to our devotion. So, I hope you had fun playing the game. I have a question. Were you worried at all during the game when you were wearing the blindfold? If so, why didn't you stop playing the game and take the blindfold off? Well, then you would have missed out on the fun of playing the game. It's the same way in life. The things we worry about are either going to happen or they're not. And it's not really worth us spending our time worrying about it, as there's nothing we can do anyway. And if we hide away from these challenges and interesting things which might worry us, then we're just going to miss out on life. In the passage, Jesus shows us that we don't need to be worried. We can learn from the ravens. Ravens are black birds that live in the UK, and they're supposed to be super intelligent. You might have seen something about that from Phil Oddbody in the service. Jesus shows us that even though the ravens have no way of making or harvesting food, they still have enough to eat. They have no house to live in, but God still provides for them, and because of that, they don't need to worry. And neither do we. It's the same for us. God will provide for us all of the things that we need, so we don't need to waste our time worrying about what might or might not happen. We can get on with it and enjoy our lives. When you are worried, it might seem like there's nothing that you can do, and that worry might feel like it's going to bubble up and take over your life. Well, there are some things that we can do when we are worried. Here are a few ideas. You could talk to an adult you trust about it. You could pray about it. You can take small steps. You could write it down. Or you could do something to take your mind off it, like a walk, play a game or bake a cake. Don't forget to have a look in your packs. There you'll find some questions for some extra thinking time about this devotion. So today we've been talking about how we don't need to worry because God is taking care of all our needs for us. Now that doesn't mean that we don't have to do anything. We still have to work and we still have to go out to the shops and buy our food. We're not going to open our front doors and find manna spread all over the floor like they did in the Old Testament. But he puts things in place so that we can find those things for ourselves, or he puts people in our paths who can help us, whether that's friends or family or the local food bank. There are people there who are around to help, and he calls on us to help as well, and that's something we'll come to on our next activity. For this one, we're talking about our worries, and just because all our needs are taken care of doesn't mean that we don't have worries, because human nature means that we will be worried about things at some point in our lives, and most of the time the majority of us will have some kind of worry, whether it's a small worry that we broke a cup, or that we're not sure if we might have hurt somebody's feelings, or whether it's a big worry like where we're going to get our next meal from, or how we're going to pay for new school shoes. And those worries are not insignificant, but there are things in place that God has given us that mean that we can deal with those worries. So we're not saying that life is worry-free, but we're saying that you don't need to worry because there are other things that we can do. And one of the best things that we can do is to share our worries with somebody and pray with them. So prayer and sharing your worries are the best ways forward. And if it's an internal worry though, something that you're struggling with, then getting out for a walk, like I am at my local nature reserve, can be a great way to help deal with your worries. And the first activity gets you going out for a walk, which is really good for you even if you're not worried in particular at the moment. And we are going to look for some birds. So I've come to the nature reserve where I know there are plenty of lots of different kinds of birds, and we are going to see what kind of birds I can spot. Now, there is a lake here and I can already see and hear some birds. So let's go around and see if we can get a nice picture of some of these birds, or a picture of some of these birds. Oh, they're swimming right over to me. Let's have a look. Now, there are definitely some birds on this lake. I don't know if you can see these birds over here. Those are some cygnets, some baby swans, which were born earlier this year. And they are swimming on over, as well as some ducks. I'm going to see if I can get a closer selfie with a bird and see if I can see some in the trees as well. Let's see. In your activity packs, there is a spotter's guide that you can use to try and identify some of the birds that you might see around in your garden or your local area. So, I have been looking up in the trees as well to try and find some more birds, and I've seen quite a few. My camera skills are not quick enough to manage to catch the birds in the trees, especially as they're hidden by a lot of the leaves that make our trees so beautiful and green at this time of year. But I have spotted a starling, a magpie, some nuthatches, and I can definitely hear some pigeons. So there's some pigeons around about as well. If you've got a bird feeder at home, you might be able to spot some other birds and see what comes to visit. When I've done my bird spotting, I'm going to tick the birds that I have seen off of my spotter's sheet when I get home. Maybe you can do a bit of bird spotting either in your garden or a local park or from your window at home. and you can tick off the birds that you find. Can you find all of the birds on your spotted sheet? I think that would be pretty tough. I wonder if anyone does. Don't forget to email with any pictures that you manage to catch of birds when you're out spotting them. Maybe you'll even be able to take a selfie with a bird like I did. It's definitely nice and peaceful here. A perfect place to come to escape some of the worries or to forget about some of the things that are troubling you. Lots to look at too. While we're out and about, I'm going to talk to you about our next activity, which I will show you once I'm back at home. So we talked before about God providing for us, and He does, and He provides for the birds. At this time of year, there's a lot of food around, so these blackberry bushes are full of blackberries, which the birds will love to eat. And there's also a rowan tree behind me with lots of these rowan berries, which the birds also love. You'll often see pigeons and all sorts of other birds sitting in these trees and eating these red berries. I wouldn't try them myself, but they're good for the birds. But God doesn't expect that we will always be able to find our own food. And He doesn't expect that the birds will necessarily now be able to find all their own food, as we have destroyed a lot of their natural habitat and we've removed a lot of their food source. So there's not as much food around for the birds as there once was. So part of our duty in caring for our planet will be to provide for the birds as well. And where, particularly in times of the year when the birds aren't able to provide for themselves, it's really a kind and thoughtful gesture for us to make a bird feeder and pop out some bird food. That might be in the form of bird seed or breadcrumbs or all sorts of bits and pieces that you can find information on the internet about the sorts of things that birds might like to eat. So our next activity is going to be making a bird feeder, and I'll be right back in the house in a moment to show you how to do it. So for this activity we are going to use the bag of bird seed that you should have in your packs, and we're going to make a bird feeder for the birds. You should also have some string in your pack, and you will also need something like a margarine tub, or maybe even a yogurt pot, a crisp tube, or an empty bottle, either a big one or a small one, it doesn't matter too much at all. And you need to design your own bird feeder. Now, if you're a bit stuck for ideas, there are lots of ideas on the web for how you might do that. Maybe if you've got some vegetable shortening or nut butter at home, you can spread it on a toilet roll middle and roll that through the bird seed to get them to stick on. Maybe you want to go really simple and cut the bottom out of a tube or a drinks carton from juice or milk or a milk bottle. Find a good stick to stick on and put the bird seed in there as a little table for the birds to hop in and feed away. There are so many different options, and it all depends on what recycling you happen to have at home at the time when you want to do this activity, or what becomes available shortly after when you have a chance to complete this activity through the week. I would love to see your bird feeders hanging up somewhere outside, maybe in your gardens or from a nearby tree. And it would also be really lovely if you can see any birds feeding from them. If you can get any pictures, we would love to see them. So don't forget to email them in, get a grown-up to email them in to us. And yeah, I look forward to seeing all your creative ideas. So, for my bird feeder, I'm going to use this carton, and I'm just going to start by cutting a section away at the bottom as an opening so the birds can get the food out. And then I found a nice fat straight stick that I'm going to stick under there. I can make a couple of holes in the top to put my string through, and then that'll be my bird feeder. I can put my bird seed on, and then you can use the string to hang it up. Nice and simple. Okay, this is a good one. We have our pack of balloons and string and little pieces of straw, and you need to unpack them. You should have enough for everybody in your group to have a little go, or to take turns at having a go. And you need to unravel your string and find a suitable place where you might be able to tie it to make a long straight line. So you won't need the whole length of it necessarily, but maybe you will. Who knows? Maybe you've got a really nice long ring that you can do it in. So I'm going to take one end of the string, and I'm just going to thread the straw onto the string before I tie it up. Then I'm going to find a suitable place to tie it, and when I'm ready, I'm going to blow up my balloon, hold the end so that it stays blown up, but don't tie it. And then using your sellotape from your packs, you need to tape the balloon on to the straw that is on your string. And when you're ready, if you can all line them up so that all your strings are the same length, going from one place to another, then maybe you can have a race. So you tape your balloon to your straw, and then you release the balloon when it's time, and it should zip along your string as a little race, just like birds racing. Sometimes they do pigeon racing, don't they? But it's not quite the same as pigeon racing. But if you wanted to, you could decorate your balloons and your straws to look more like birds, and you could give them names as well. All sorts of opportunities. I'm going to show you how it went when we had a go. Ready?
Yeah.
Steady? Here we go. Oh! Keep the lines nice and straight, and see how you get on at home.
Yeah, lots of fun. This is a lot of fun.
Okay, so today we are going to make an origami bird. And in your packs you should find a square of red paper. For the younger ones, you can use your paper to make a bird with some feathers, which should also be in your pack. That's for the very youngest children, as this might be a little bit tricky. Everyone else, I think we can have a go at this. Maybe a parent might need to give you a hand, but we'll certainly be able to give it a good go. So the first thing we need to do is we need to fold our piece of paper diagonally like this. So you've got a good fold. Okay. And then we're going to flip it over and fold it up to make a smaller triangle, like this. Okay. And then we turn it over, so we've got the open part here, which we then fold back onto its open like this. So you've still got that same triangle shape, but you know, one flap here and two here. Okay? Like this. Then we're going to turn it over to the other side, so flip it over, and then we're going to fold that back to make a smaller, now right angle triangle. Okay, so you now have a right angle triangle. So if we turn it this way, and we take the tip, and we fold the tip up to the middle of this line here. Just like that. I'm no expert in origami, as you can probably tell, and I'm betting some of yours will end up much better than mine. So turn it over and do the same on the other side. got this folded piece with the 2 points of the triangle folded upwards like this, and this opens up. Okay. So then I'm going to open one side out. So you've got it like this, and then you open one side out. And then what you're going to do is you're going to push this one inwards and fold the other way along this line, so it makes a kind of tuck. Okay. So it's like hidden that bit. And then we do the same on the other side. So we're tucking that bit in, unfolding, hiding that. So now it looks like this. Right, so you've got your trapeze shape with these bits folded in, and they're pointing in this direction. You lay it flat with a fold at the bottom, and you fold this corner up to make a triangle like this. And it doesn't matter if your folds aren't perfect. Every bird is different, and each is perfect in its own way. And then you open it up, and where you've made that fold, you push it again inwards, folding it kind of in. It's tricky, so feel free to pause the video and rewind it back and watch again, because it's hard to keep up. If it's hard to keep up, oh, you need to do a bit again or watch a bit again. So all I've done is I took that fold that I did up, I opened it out, turned it over, and then pushed it inwards, and then it's made like a head. That's the head of our little bird. Okay, so you should have something that looks a bit like this. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to make the wings. So we're going to take this flap here, and we're going to fold it upwards like this to make one wing. And then we're going to turn it over on the other side and do the same to make another wing. So you've got your wings of your bird up like this. Okay? And then you take the body, and you fold it back down on itself like this. And you give that a really good, nice sharp fold with your fingernails. And then take it and do the same the other way, fold it so it's a really good deep fold. Okay, and then if you open it out a little here, and this tail, and what you're going to do is you're going to pinch the 2 parts of the body together and sort of flatten that tail at the back like this. You see how the tail is nice and flat, and then we can flatten it against the body to make this tail here. Now, this is just one example of a way you can make an origami bird, and there are lots of instructions on YouTube for making different types of bird. And if you have some of your own paper at home, maybe you can make a whole collection, a whole flock of birds. You can draw an eye on if you want to. If you do it on some white paper, you could do beautiful decorations on the feathers. Maybe you could thread some string through the top and hang your bird so it's flying. You can make a mobile, you could give it as a gift to someone, and it's just a really lovely reminder of some of the lessons that we've been talking about today, about how God provides for us, and how we can help do God's work by helping to provide for others who maybe are in a bit more need than we are. Okay, so there we go, an origami bird. Have a go. Younger ones, maybe your parents could fold the origami bird and you can fix on some feathers, or you could just cut out a bird shape or draw a bird shape and stick some feathers on. That's fine to make your own bird picture, but most of you, I think, will be able to give this a good go, even if you need a bit of help from a grown-up at home or an older sibling. And I'd love to see these, so don't forget to put your pictures of your origami birds on, to email them to us. Get a parent or grown up to email them to us at the email address below.
Now, I don't know if you can think back to 2 sessions ago when we were talking about grasshoppers and we made those delicious mug cakes. Wow. And I have to admit, I've been enjoying those mug cakes a lot recently. Now today we have a special treat for our snack. And you're going to need your microwavable mug. Today, not only are we making mug cakes, but we are making chocolate mug cakes. I'm very excited. So for this activity, you're going to need your chocolate mug cake pack, your trusty microwavable mug, a 1/4 cup plus 1 tablespoon of milk and 2 tablespoons of oil. You are going to do exactly what you did last time. You're going to take your pack, pour it into your mug, add the milk and the oil and microwave it for 45 to 60 seconds. All the instructions are on this label. And then we're going to eat them. I'll be back in a minute. So I have taken my mug cake, you see it, out of the microwave. It is very hot. Please be careful before you delve in there, but it smells so good. Okay, here we go. And we all thought mug cakes couldn't get any better. Thank you so much for joining us again. Don't forget, we have a very important showcase coming up on the 30th of August. And we would love photos and videos of every single one of you taking part in some of these activities so that we can see your faces behind the numbers on our screens. If you've already sent us photos and videos, thank you so much. Keep them coming in. And if you haven't sent any yet but would like to take part, then you can send any photos and videos of you doing the activities or spending time together doing the devotionals to media@christchurchwgc.org.uk.
We look forward to seeing you next week.
See you then. Bye!
Bye!